Hello, this is State Senator Rob Martwick, and I'm here in my office here in the 10th District on the northwest side of the city of Chicago. And I'm shooting this video today to give you a recap on our 2021 session. So just about 3 weeks ago, we ended session, and it was notable, right? It was the first real session that we've had in 2 years. Obviously, our 2020 session was somewhat curtailed from COVID, and with the pandemic, we really only came down for a few days to attend to that business that was essential to the operation of the state. This year, we were back in full session. We tested 3 times a week, we masked, people got their vaccines, and we were able to return in person. And as a result, we did a lot of work, And so I want to give you a quick update on some of the things that we did. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail here, the idea being that I'm going to give you a quick recap, and I'm going to ask you to stay tuned, and we'll be doing more of these whiteboard videos as we break down each one of these issues to give you a little bit more information about what was passed and how it affects you. So without any further ado, let's get into a 2021 recap. So I'm going to start out with some of the legislation that I passed, and then I'm going to go into some of the bigger stuff that passed statewide. So starting out, number one, the budget. I suppose I should have this over on the other column with everything else that got done. But a budget is important, really. It's the most important thing that we do in a General Assembly on a day-to-day. It secures the operation of the government and makes sure that the things that we prioritize are being spent on. And it is important to everyone. And this is why we got in so much trouble during the Rauner administration when he refused to actually work on a budget. Things got stalled out. It was terrible for our state. But I'm really proud to say that this year we passed a budget. It's a balanced budget. It properly and fully funds education on our annual commitment to increase our funding to education every year. It makes a full payment on our debt service, reduces our backlog of bills, and makes a full pension payment. That's really important. That means we're on the right path financially. And make no mistake, Illinois has got problems. We're going to get there eventually if we stay on the right path, right? Again, that's kind of what the whole Rauner thing was about. Things went off the rails. Now we're back on track and hopefully, keeping moving in the right direction. So that's the budget. It was really a good budget, proud of it, and it's especially important given that we were in the pandemic. So a lot of the, thankfully, the federal stimulus money that was done under both presidents really had a great effect and helped our economy rolling, kept our tax revenues up, kept our economy moving, and we were able to balance our budget, which is really great news in a tough year like this. Next, elected representative school board. Anyone who knows me knows that for the last 6.5 years, this has been my primary legislative initiative, and after 6.5 years, we got it done with a big lift from members of both chambers, especially my House colleagues, Representative Delia Ramirez, who carried the bill in the House, and Cam Buckner, who was a big assist to her, and then my colleagues in the Senate, so many of which were really great. Senator Omar Aquino, Senators Selena Villanueva, Senator Robert Peters, Senator Ram Villavolam, Senator Pacione Zayas. These people did a lot to help me get this ball finally across the goal line, and we will send this bill to the governor, and we will have an elected representative school board in the Chicago Public Schools. More on that later. This definitely is going to be its own video. Special thanks to Speaker Chris Welch and my president, Senator Don Harmon. Those are tough roles to be in. People might have criticized the way they went about this, but what I would point to is it got done under their leadership, and it wasn't able to get done under the prior leadership. They got it done. So thank you, Speaker Welch and Senator Harmon, elected representative school board. Done. Retirement security. Now I know this is one that doesn't probably get everybody all riled up, but we did pass 2 really good things for retirement security. And this is important. So many Americans are approaching retirement age and they don't have enough savings. And that's really bad. It's bad for them because they're unprepared for their retirement years and they have to really cut back on their lifestyle. It's bad for budgets. As younger workers don't prepare for retirement, they become a burden on future budgets, and that means less money to be spent on the things that we need while we have to spend money taking care of people who could have prepared for themselves. themselves, but didn't. And most importantly, it's a drag on our economy. We count on retirees spending money as consumers in our economy. When they don't, that drags down our economy. So doing things to ensure that people have quality access to retirement, very important. It is really one of the best things we can do. Proud to say I marshaled two very important pieces of legislation across the line regarding that. One, working with the Treasurer and Representative Gazzardi on what we call secure choice. This is ensuring that everyone has retirement savings, even if your employer doesn't offer it, if you're in the private sector. And then I also did something with the public sector workers to ensure that they are now automatically enrolled in deferred compensation or supplemental retirement savings, to make sure that they're supplementing their pensions enough that they are able to get by in their retirement ages. Really good pieces of legislation. More about those in the future, but for now, retirement savings, check. Pensions, always important in Illinois. We want to make sure we're on the right path. We passed a monumental pension piece of pension legislation in conjunction with the Chicago Park Districts that will help reverse their trajectory. Right now their pension fund is going like this. It's going to turn it around and get it funded on the right path, pay back those debts responsibly, do it in a really good manner. So more on that later again, but pensions, good one there. Mental health, something that I'm so happy to partner with my partner in the General Assembly, Representative Lindsay LaPointe. When I first came into the General Assembly 9 years ago, mental health was not really on my radar. Of course, everybody knows it's important, but I didn't really know all that much about it. Working with Representative LaPointe over the last 2 years, her previous life being in social work, I've learned so much from her about the issue of mental health and really the importance of addressing it. We did a couple of really good things with mental health, especially as it relates to students, but also first responders. We passed a bill that helps identify, it expands the number of risk factors for identifying students at risk of suicide. And we also passed a bill that allows students to take 5 days of excused absences for attending to their mental health. These two things are really important because we see suicide as just this, on this meteoric rise amongst our young students. And we really need to give them both the resources, the attention, and the space to address their mental health issues. So mental health, really proud of that. The last piece of mental health I'll talk about with first responders. Obviously first responders are such an important part of our society. They have very difficult jobs, and we need to make sure that we're doing the things that take care of them. So along those lines, we did a couple of really important things. One is, back in January, we passed what was called the Safety Act, which is a general police reform bill. What we also passed in this General Assembly was a trailer bill, which helps really refine some of those definitions, clear up some of the unclear language in that, and that will make implementing this package really a lot better, a lot easier, and it'll offer police officers and firefighters greater protections. But we also did a couple of other things. Number one, around disability benefits. The city of Chicago had a really bad record of dealing with first responder disabilities. Police officers, firefighters injured on the job had to pay out of pocket for their costs until a very lengthy amount of time until the determination was made whether or not that injury was related to their disability. We were able to change that around, so now they have to get a notice of whether or not they qualify for that disability sooner, and the city must pay for it until they make that determination. So again, showing our first responders that when they're injured on the job, we're standing up for them. The next thing that we did was around mental health. And so one of the things that I passed was a bill that will, I believe in conjunction with Representative LaPointe and this one too, establishes a database of mental health resources for first responders. Very important. We see an increased number of suicides and mental health related problems that first responders are dealing with because of the stresses of their job. This is a way of saying, hey, we want you to take care of that. That's important. You can't take care of us if you're not taking care of yourself. So we did two things. One was mental health resources. We will create an Illinois Department of Public Health. We'll maintain a website where confidential resources for first responders to go to if they reach out for that, looking for that sort of information. But more importantly, one of the things that I'm very proud of was I fought in that budget for an appropriation $2 million in the budget will be granted to the Police Memorial Foundation in order to establish mental health treatment centers for first responders. They will be able to go to these confidentially, attend to their mental health, make sure that they're healthy on the job. So really proud of that. So first responders, and a little check mark there. Okay, moving down the board here to some of the bigger stuff that was done, and this is all worthy of a future video as well, so stay tuned again. Just going to run through them really quickly. We did pass a big ethics package. Again, this is a tightening of ethics. As you might know, there have been some problems with ethics in the Illinois General Assembly lately. We've had some members get into trouble for doing things that they really shouldn't be doing. This is kind of making those gray lines a little bit brighter and clearer. So we'll talk about that. Ethics, we did pass something to address that. Housing, you know, obviously during the pandemic, housing was a big problem. We found a way to balance the need for affordable housing to help people stay in their homes without punishing small landlords who are just trying to, you know, make ends meet. So we do have a whole housing package up there. Some of it is really good, tax credits and whatnot. So we'll get back to that one too. FOID and guns, obviously always a big issue. What are we doing to rein in the people's access to guns, making sure that they don't hurt each other? So the firearm owner's identification card. This is a card that Illinois issues to people who buy guns. Well, there was a shooting in the suburbs a couple of years ago where someone had used a gun that they bought with a FOID card that had been expired. And we needed to look into that. How are we handling the FOID card? What resources are we putting into policing this, making sure that people who lose their right to have a weapon don't still have access to them? And so we did a big FOID rewrite. So we rewrote all the laws around FOID. Very important. It was a really good bill. We'll come back with more explanations on that. But again, it's a step towards addressing our problems with gun violence. So that's coming up. We did make a change to election law, and this is important too. Basically, we're pushing the primary back. We're remapping all of the districts everywhere, right? So your aldermanic districts, your county board districts, your general assembly districts, your congressional districts, all those boundaries are being redrawn to reflect population changes. And because of it, what we did was for 1 year, we pushed the primary back. So if you're used to the primary being in March, this year coming up in 2022, it will be in June. So more on that later, but that is, we passed an elections package. And then finally, the last one, telehealth, right? This is something that had been kind of out there, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and we opened up access to it really quickly, and people saw how beneficial this was. Whether you're busy, or you work somewhere that's remote, or you live somewhere that's remote, you realize now that telehealth is a way that you can connect with your healthcare professional. Then it's a convenient way. I mean, you may still need to go into the doctor, but for simple visits, and so we expanded telehealth to make sure that this is sort of one of those benefits from the pandemic that keeps going. Not like Zoom. Zoom can go away. No, I'm kidding. Zoom was very effective, but I've had enough Zoom conferences. But telehealth, that will be a good one. I took advantage of it, and if you haven't, maybe you'll check it out. So that's it. That is a quick wrap up of our 2021 session. Passed a great budget. Elected school board got done. We did some really good stuff around retirement security and savings. We've helped fix some of our pensions, provided mental health resources to students and first responders, passed a big ethics package, addressed affordable housing issues, addressed gun violence, fixed the elections, and made telehealth more accessible. Really a great session overall, and there's so much more to talk about. Very happy about the outcome of this session. It was great to get back and begin working. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comments here. And you can always reach our office at 773-286-1115. You can find us at info@senatormartwick.com, and you can find us on Facebook, Senator Martwick, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram. So find me, send me a message, look me up. I'd be happy to answer your questions. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again real soon.